Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Jim Reads Too Slow. I, of course, am Jim, and it's been a little while, hasn't it? I've intended to do this, honestly, um, many times since first getting over my first bout with COVID back in January. But then I just kept getting sick. I kept getting busier. Um, I got into some other things. I've been through some things since then, since the last video. But no excuses. I'm back. I have resurfaced, so to speak. And really, sincerely, thank you for sticking around. Thanks for still being here. And of course, there's no time um, like right now to get back in the swing of things. We're on the verge, the very verge of Horror Mayhem 2024, an event that a lot of booktubers have really come to look forward to. So this is my announcement video. Probably the last one put up by this year's event co-hosts. I expect I'll probably be lagging behind, um, as usual, everyone else for a while. But anyway, excuse me. Horror Mayhem was created, of course, by Scott and Becky Bryant, the Bookish Bryants. And this is what, the third year for the event. And when Scott contacted me way back when, several weeks ago, and asked if I would be willing to be a host again this year, I was very much honored. It really made me happy. Even the horror, as I have said many times in the past, is not my genre of choice. Never really has been. This event has helped me broaden my taste quite a bit, and I have had a lot of fun with it. So I thank Scott and Becky for getting me involved. There are a ton of great hosts this year. Please check them all out. Watch all of their videos. Scott is having some issues right now, so the Bryants are not able to be as involved as they have been in the past, but they are still very much the heart and soul of this event. And I want to say I'm sending Scott my very best get well vibes, the best that I can muster up. Get well soon. So in the past, the focus of this event has been on shorter works, short novels, novellas, short stories. And personally, I'm going to stick with that format this year. I've had a great time catching up with the classics, things that I should have read a long time ago. Edgar Allan Poe, which I have a little bit of background in, but not nearly as much as I should have. H.P. Lovecraft, Algernon Blackwood, Clark Ashton Smith, Irvin S. Cobb, a guy I never would have discovered had it not been for this event. The old guys. And I still have a way to go with them, and I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue with them. So the most basic way to participate in Horror Mayhem, of course, is to just read horror stories throughout the month of May. Simple as that. But if you're more into structure, there are weekly themes, and each week has its own theme, starting with week 1, which is local horror. Now, what is local horror? These definitions are fairly nebulous, but are there stories that feature your hometown, or your region, your state, your part of the country? Maybe there's a horror author who lives in your area. You can read their work. However you interpret local horror, just go with that. And that's week 1. Okay, week 2 is movie horror. And again, how do you define that? Read a novelization of a movie. stories that have been adapted into movies. Read them. Read a behind-the-scenes story about some of the crazy things that have gone on the set of a horror movie that has been being filmed, etc. You know, whatever, however you interpret that, go with it. Week 3 then is classic horror, and that is probably where I'll be spending most of my time, regardless of the other categories. I have my own definition of what classic is, as I've mentioned. You probably have yours. I think the consensus is, though, keep it pre-1980s, although I'm inclined to move that back quite a ways. And then finally, week 4 is contemporary horror. Now that might help put the previous category in a little better perspective. For this category, I intend to break out the Thomas Ligotti, dive into that for a start. I even have his nonfiction book that I may find the time to read. So that's the weekly prompts. Now, if you crave a little more structure in your horror reading journey for the month, we have a bingo card with 36 prompts, 6 squares by 6, and you can mix and match. One story may fulfill several of those categories. And the categories are universal monsters, graphic novel, cult horror, indie horror, personal horror, haunted house, possession, religious horror, body horror, slasher, killer animals, horror adjacent, translated horror, diverse author, kidnappings, psychological horror, extreme horror, horror books with a green cover, cozy horror, horror based on a true story, cannibalism, elemental horror, folk horror, ghost horror, witches, cryptids, cosmic horror, home invasion stories, aliens, curses, dolls, clowns, holiday horror, evil children, always a fun one, technological horror, and finally dystopian horror. So there's something in any one or more of those categories that you're going to enjoy. And there you have it. Everything you need to know to participate in Horror Mayhem 2024. You can just dip your toe in the horror water, just skim the surface of the genre. If like me, it's never been your thing, you can get a taste, or you can just dive right in, go deep, get down there where the killer mermaids will chew off your face, down there where they live. However you like your horror. So I'm going to be touching base with y'all through the course of the month, letting you know what I'm reading, finding out what you're reading. Let me know what you plan to read during the month. And with that said, I'm going to bow out. Have a good one, BookTube.